All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you again for everyone joining us. Waving to say hello for those of you that can see my camera. I am going to turn it off here in a few minutes just to not distract you with all of my hand movements, because truly the great information is on the screen, not within my face. So again, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining the WesTech Wellness Workshop this afternoon, I guess now. I truly wish that I was there. And I think, hopefully the time is coming when we could be back together again, because I truly love your energy and would be so fun to be back there at WesTech to have all of you in the same room that can join us. So cross our fingers that sooner or later we are going to be able to be together again. So today's topic is really one of those that I think we need to revisit on a regular basis. And it's really about our routines and consistency. And I think these are words that we hear a lot and we probably talk about a lot, either with our groups of friends, peers, or our spouses, because truly they are really what run most of our lives. However, we're about 6 months in, about 5 months into 2021, and the last year's been rough. I'm sure many of you agree with me on this, that it has really thrown us off so many of our positive habits that we've had. There's been so much chaos, uncertainty, different work environments. We're told to stay home and stay with our families, so our social connections have been thrown off kilter as well. So there's just so much within the world that has really made our routines and the consistency that we may have had with our health habits truly fall by the wayside. So it's time to reboot. It's time to rethink about our health habits if you haven't already. Not that things are better, because for some of us, things probably haven't changed at all since 2020 ended. But again, I think for a very individual creation of our health status, it's time. And it's time to reboot those in whatever way it looks like. So as we start through this presentation, I really want to challenge you all to think about a habit, a healthy, positive habit that you're trying to adopt, something that maybe has been very difficult for you to do in the past, whether that be exercising more, eating healthier, stress management techniques that you may be trying, sleeping more often, maybe it's budgeting if there's been a financial hit over the last year, any of those things. So think about a positive habit that you're trying to adopt. I really want you to keep visiting that over the course of this presentation, because at the end, there is kind of a homework assignment, if you will. I'm not going to grade it. I am not going to have you turn it in, but it is going to be a challenge that I really think it would be helpful for all of you kind of to work through the steps. And I've done it with my routine that I'm going to talk about today, as well as my example. So here's just the beginning part of it is you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. For me, I really recognized the importance of a routine more so than ever when I had children, the regular bedtime, the feeding times, all of those things that just to survive as a parent, you have to do. So the routines have become very, very evident for me, and I will be the first one to admit that I stick very, very strongly to the routines when it comes to my family. But what that also leaves is that some of the other routines that maybe I have had in the past haven't been quite as well. So I want you to think about that for yourself. Think about one habit that you're trying to adopt, and I'm going to walk you through some different strategies today, as well as different barriers that really are piping up within, our adoption of these healthy habits that we're having a hard time maybe implementing it into our lives. So a couple different definitions just to start, because a lot of the time we think of routine and consistency as the same thing. So I just want to get it out of the way that consistency is the quality or fact of staying the same at different times. So being consistent with one of our behaviors. A routine is the regular course of procedure, or it's a habitual or mechanical performance of an established procedure. So a routine is something that really we build into our world so we don't have to think about it. And we want to be consistent with these routines. So again, they're slightly different, but again, putting those two words together is really the ideal goal of today's presentation that we're talking about. So what is a routine? Very first obvious example, as you'll see of the photo that is on this screen, is brushing our teeth. Whether you brush them once, twice, 3 times, or 5 times a day, brushing our teeth is a routine that we are taught really, really, really early in our lives. And so if you think about your bedtime routine, likely, and I hope it is, brushing your teeth is just part of that. You don't have to think about it too much. You roll through the motions, you brush your teeth as part of your nighttime routine. Another routine that a lot of people probably have is eating breakfast. The time wakes up, you wake up in the morning, maybe you get ready for your day and you eat some sort of breakfast or drink some sort of breakfast. It is part of your routine. So it's something that you do every day without fail, so that eventually you do it without conscious thought. And again, teeth brushing, prime example. Okay, to reach new goals, you need to set new routines to support your objectives. So as I challenged you at the beginning of this presentation today, to think about a positive habit that you're trying to adopt. And our goal today, through the different tips and tricks, is to make that goal a routine. Okay, a daily routine built on good habits and disciplines separates the most successful among us from everyone else. So remember that as we roll through it. My example that I'm going to use through the presentation today for myself, a new or positive habit that I've had a hard time really implementing in my life in the past, is doing a daily meditation, whether it be 5 minutes or 25 minutes. I really want to have that time of quiet, of refocusing, of being mindful. So again, that's been something that I've struggled with in the past because of my children, because of my career and everything that we do. That is a new positive habit that I'm trying to implement. So it is my goal today to make this into a routine. So that's going to be my example. So you're going to hear me talk about meditation, but that's just my personal example. So what does a routine and consistency do for me? Okay, it creates intention in your day. It gives you something to strive toward. It eliminates decision fatigue. So if you're thinking, oh, you know what, my positive habit is I really want to exercise daily, by putting a routine and consistency into that, it eliminates that decision of, oh my gosh, am I going to do it today? Am I not going to do it? Because a routine, it happens. It's part of that daily, task or your daily calendar. It reduces procrastination. It helps create greater contentment because you've done it, you're being successful. It reduces stress, meaning it has become built into your life, okay, which may allow some additional free time for some other things when you have that routine and the consistency. It eases life stresses by making your actions automatic and effective. So again, that's something that we will revisit today multiple times, is we're making it automatic. And when built on good habits, you see success in that aspect of your life as well as other aspects of your life. So there's the point. There's the reason why routine and consistency is so very important. So do want to mention, I am going to ask you for a little bit of feedback. So you are welcome to unmute yourself if you do have a question. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. There's also a chat section as well. You can use that chat section. I've got it open. If you do want to pose any questions throughout, or if you want to pose your positive, new habit that you're trying to implement, I'm happy to discuss and kind of work through that as well. And I can keep it completely anonymous. So feel free to jump in. That's the joy of virtual. I can only encourage so much. So feel free to do that. Don't ever feel shy. Jump in there if you want to. So bad habits are the enemy of routines and consistency. And we're going to talk about some of those bad habits and the reason why we need to eliminate those. So here's 5 strategies for eliminating the bad habits. We're trying to push the bad habits aside. We're trying to bring in the good habits, which in turn we can turn into routines and consistencies. So we need to find our triggers. A primary example here is, are you more likely to do a bad habit when you're with certain people? Here's an example. If I am trying to do my daily meditation every day after I put my kids to bed around 8:30, But my husband is encouraging me to play board games, cards, watch Netflix, watch a new movie or documentary that has come out. There's a trigger, because that is that peer pressure, if you will, that I want to spend time with my husband because the kids aren't around. But at the same time, this is the time that I've set aside for myself. So that is a trigger. Another trigger would just be another routine. So if we think about smoking, for example, if you're trying to quit using nicotine products or tobacco, a trigger could be just getting in your car in the morning to drive to work, or having your morning coffee. These are triggers that automatically make you think, hey, now it's my time to smoke, or now's my time to have my e-cigarette, for example. So those are triggers. So what we need to do is we need to remove those. We need to remove the triggers. So do I need to remove my husband? No, I don't. But again, maybe sharing that with him and letting him know, hey, I'm going to take 5 to 15 minutes right now. I'm happy to, play gin rummy cards when we're finished, but now's the time for me. Okay, so again, identifying those triggers and trying to remove some of them. Here's another strategy, is removing things that don't help you with your goal. Easy example, if you're trying to eat healthier, for example, eating less sugar, an action would be to throw out all the sugary foods in your house, or don't buy them. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? For me, if I'm trying to meditate more, how am I going to remove the things that don't help with that? Well, I need to find a time that is going to work for me. So maybe the 8:30 at night isn't going to work, so I'm removing that, but maybe doing it early in the morning at 6 or 6:30 in the morning is better if I can just wake myself up. So again, working with that and figuring out how I'm going to remove those things that don't help with your goal. And at the end, I'm going to give you a little worksheet that you can use to figure this out. Swap out your bad habit with a healthier one. Drinking a lot of soda or, carbonated products, maybe you can swap that for sparkling water. Okay, if you're trying to swap out not getting as much sleep, how can you encourage yourself to go to bed earlier, or to set an alarm to go to bed as well as set an alarm to go up? So again, swapping some of those bad habits for staying on the couch and Netflixing late at night to going to bed earlier, swapping out some of those bad habits to encourage you to be successful with your goal. Ease into your new routine. Prime example with this is if you talk to a running coach, for example, if you talk to anyone who's really a professional runner or a coach, and they're talking to people who have failed at really adopting running as their exercise. One of the reasons why people give up in running is because they start out way too hard and it hurts. They're going too fast, they're going too long, they're not doing it correctly. So they're jumping in with both feet, which for some things is a very beneficial way to get started. However, when we're talking about a routine, we need to ease into that. So again, taking a small step in that direction. For me, I'm not going to jump into a 45-minute transcendental meditation practice. It's not realistic, but could I ease in with 5 minutes each day? Same thing with exercise. Same thing with cutting out sugar in your life. Do you need to cut it out completely? Or could you say you're only going to have it once a day, or you're only going to have it 3 days a week? What are some of those things that can allow you to ease in so we don't end up quitting like many runners that are out there because we start out way, way too hard? Okay. And then finally, the last strategy for eliminating bad habits is once you set a goal, make it permanent in your book. Okay, let me give you an example. There's an amazing book that I'm going to suggest, and I've suggested on many of our Wellness Wednesdays webinars if you listen to those. It's a book called Tiny Habits. Okay, and in this book, one of the examples that they bring up is if flossing your teeth is a good new habit that you're trying to make into a routine, try flossing one tooth. Seems really silly, right? Why would I only floss one tooth when I have all these teeth in my mouth? Because the reality is when you dedicate to easing into that and just flossing one tooth, the reality is that you're not going to stop there. You're going to do them all, but just taking the action to do one, you're already in your mouth, so you're going to keep going. Another example in Tiny Habits, the book that they bring up, is if you're going to try to work on your upper body strength by doing push-ups. Your goal should be to do one push-up, only one. Again, seems really silly when you think about it in the whole scheme of things, but when you're doing one, you know you can now do 5, or you could do 8, or maybe you could rise up from your knees. So again, you're really starting to give yourself and feel the success that, oh my gosh, I did it. But the reality is you're doing so much more than that. So again, you're making yourself a baby step, into your positive routine, and you're making it permanent. Ask yourself where you need to take bigger leaps toward your new goal. Flossing 3 teeth, doing 10 push-ups, doing 10 minutes of meditation, whatever that might be. You can take bigger steps once you're successful at the smaller ones. So another comment came in, and thank you so much. Another great book is James Clear's Atomic Habits, similar to techniques that I just talked about. So again, 2 great resources that if you're looking for more inspiration and other great tips and tricks, Tiny Habits as well as Atomic Habits. Kind of sounds like a big step into a big step, is a little step into a big step as well. So thank you for that suggestion. So let's get started with this. Some things are going to be repeated that I've already brought up because I'm using my personal example, but I'm going to give you 5 strategies for creating consistency. Going back to my running example, for the people that quit really early on, and why did they quit? It's because they started out way too hard. Okay, and the number 1 technique that most running coaches will tell you if you're trying to get started from couch to 5K or whatever it might be is just creating consistency with that. So making it regular routine and being as consistent as possible. The number 1 way that you can create consistency is to track your routine or habits. And I know this seems to many of you like just one more task on your list. However, when you track your action that relates to the positive habit that you're trying to improve, it will allow you to see any discrepancies. So what happened that day? What did you do? What didn't you do? What should you have been doing? It'll show you all the peaks and valleys within your new habit that you're doing. Maybe Mondays are just a really bad day for you to dedicate to whatever it is your healthy habit is. And through tracking that, you're going to notice this. So I'm going to give you a great resource, and you all have it. And that is your Orion account, your Orion portal that you can use. Whether or not you were aware from when we rolled out this program, you all have the ability to track anything you want in a goal in your Orion account. Just by clicking on goals, you can increase good habits and you can reduce bad habits. You can track just about anything that has a number associated with it. So again, this is a great resource. You all have access to it. Give it a whirl if you're looking for a place to track. Also, a small notebook works, or a log works. Okay. The challenge with tracking your routine is to do it for 3 weeks, because that is usually, on average, how long it takes to create a habit. So by tracking it for 3 weeks, you're going to see the discrepancies. It's going to start to be built in. So a 21-day is really the goal for tracking your routines and habits. These are tough because, man, we are bombarded with time wasters all the time in every different facet, every different direction. We are being absolutely sucked of, the motivation that we may have. So things that don't contribute to your long-term goal, but add stress, things like social media, the news, television, movies, Netflix, going back to that. Okay, there's a lot of time wasters that suck our attention into other things. And so we're not dedicating to those tasks or goals at hand that we may have just written down. Okay, so next to the list of things that you're writing down or your goal tracking, okay, writing a list of solutions to these time wasters. Can you turn off social media notifications? Can you not allow yourself to look at the news during the day from 9 until 5 and maybe allow yourself only to do that at night? Okay, my family puts a lot of television and movie restrictions on because I do have 2 little kids. So again, is there a time and a place for televisions, movies, video games, all of those things that continually are drawing our attention away? Okay, so write a list of those solutions to those time wasters. What are you going to do to overcome some of those barriers that we have just talked about? Plan it out. So this is similar to writing down your goals. This is similar to really using your Orion tracker, if you will, for your goals. Weekly planning is a great way to do that. If you're not wanting to do it daily, or doing a nightly check-in is not something that's realistic for you. So weekly planning, again, is exactly what it seems like. It's a once per week. Check out your calendar, check out the schedule ahead. How are you going to fit in this good new habit that you're trying to form into a routine? So pick a night where you can look ahead at the next week and see what you can accomplish. One of the examples that I do on a weekly basis, whether it be Saturday or Sunday, I am always at the grocery store sometime on Sunday. So if you're ever shooting around, you're probably going to see me at the grocery store. It's because I do that weekly planning where I buy all the food that I'm going to need to cook 5 meals, 5 nighttime meals, and I go to the store just once. Okay, so weekly planning, just a quick example. Set some goals that progress you toward that. So when are you going to fit it in? When are you going to fit in your healthy shopping? Or at what time or how many days a week are you going to fit in your daily meditation practice or your budgeting for your finances? When you put it on your calendar, you're more likely to stick to it. You're forming that routine by writing it down and making it concrete. If you are one that wants to do a nightly check-in, this is another fantastic way to keep yourself accountable, is to review the good and the bad things that you did for yourself and your goals. Something that I love to do as the Chief Operating Officer of Orion is to ask people that report to me, or managers or supervisors, what was your victory lap today? Okay, kind of a fun way of saying what went well for you today. What did you accomplish? What was a gold star that you should get? So what's your victory lap? Something that is truly a positive moment that maybe took you towards your goal or took you toward having a better day. You can do the same thing for yourself. What's a victory lap? What did you do today that is leading you toward accomplishing your goal? And I don't want to say what was a failure, but what was a bad thing that maybe didn't go well for you today? Did you had an extra deadline today that got thrown on you, so you weren't able to do something? To identify those things. It does take daily consistent effort with a routine based on your good habits. So if you're a couch potato, you're not going to run a marathon by the end of the week. It's a long-term thing. So whether you're planning weekly or doing a nightly check-in, be patient, because there are going to be deadlines that are thrown on you. That, as it says here, if you fall off the horse, brush yourself off and get back on. It is not a failure, okay? It is just a bump in the road that threw you off, and it's never too late to pick yourself back up, okay? A New Year's resolution is truly never a failure unless you completely give up and don't ever pick it back up during that whole year, okay? So again, give yourself some slack. You can get back onto it. And even though we're 5 months into the year, we can still do that. So allow yourself the patience and the time to do that. Our fourth strategy here for creating consistency, believe it or not, is to delegate. If you can't do everything, delegate the less important tasks. Does that mean delegate it to someone else? It possibly could. But again, it's really to prioritize those things. Are there things that maybe you don't need to do today, which will allow you to dedicate yourself towards your task? Are there things within your world that you can delegate to family, to friends, that will help you be more productive or to help you be more successful? Okay, don't ever hesitate to delegate. This is a great one, and I brought this up at the very beginning when I was talking about my daily meditation practice, trying to do it at 8 or 8:30 at night. However, my husband wants to spend quality time with me doing things that we like to do together. Okay, rather than seeing him as a trigger, why don't I flip that around and see my husband as a success buddy with this? Find someone who can hold you accountable for your new routine. Easiest way to do that is to just tell someone about it. Whether that be your doctor, your spouse, maybe it's your workmate that maybe is in your office with you. Anybody that really can help you to stay accountable to yourself. At the same time, you're accountable to them because they're now aware of your new routine. Okay, so again, my husband now knows that I'm trying to meditate for 5 to 15 minutes every night at this time. he now is aware of that, and he can say, hey, you know what, I will wait to start this documentary until you're finished. And that will really encourage me to do that. But first step to that is you need to tell someone about it. And this is, sometimes we do need to be a little bit vulnerable with that and allow ourselves to tell someone. So my challenge is to tell someone what your new goal is so they can help you with your new routine and being consistent. Man, sometimes it really helps just to have that side reminder of, hey, Tara, it's that time. Why don't you go take care of it? Okay, it's hard to say no. So again, fantastic, great strategy to forming a routine and consistency. So here is the challenge. I'm going to keep it on this screen for a little while, and I am going to open it up to anyone who has any questions, any comments, any other strategies that have helped them with routine and consistency. As I go over this slide, feel free to unmute yourself and contribute to that or add it to the chat section. But this is the homework assignment, if you will, to pick that area of life that you want to be successful. What's that new habit? Okay, make a list of that habit. Why is it important to you? Will it help you define what you want or who you are? So figure out what that is. Now, write out some excuses that you might be clinging to. For me, with meditation, my excuse is I don't have time, or I would rather watch this documentary, or I'm too tired and I just fall asleep when I'm meditating. It happens, trust me. Okay, there's so many excuses that we cling to. So it's time to write them down and put them aside. Now write out a half dozen small steps you can take every day to move in that direction. So what are those small steps that you're easing into this new habit? You're not going to go from couch to a marathon. What are the small baby steps that you can move in that direction? So to write down 3 to 6 of them, small steps that you can take to get there. And the most important one in my mind is to write out the small, seemingly inconsequential actions that you can stop doing that might be compounding your results downward. Okay, these are those triggers. These are the things that are getting in your way. They're not excuses, because excuses a lot of the time come from internally. These may be things that are on the outside that are really, getting in the way of you being successful. So here's your homework: to write it down, find your excuses, find the baby steps, and then to write down those actions to stop doing, which could help you kind of move in that routine or that long-term consistency type standpoint. So opening up for questions as I leave it on this screen. Does anyone have any questions or comments, strategies that they would like to share with our group today? No one. That's okay.
Hey, Tara, this is Stephanie. I will jump in. I was thinking, so I've already kind of started, but didn't know how to progress in my goal per se.
Sure.
I want to reduce sugar in our family. So I've started already with replacing my white bread with wheat bread. And so this is going to help me.
Yeah.
And I can see, like, maybe each time that I go to the grocery store, I can replace something else with something, healthier or less sugar.
Right.
So I think that's what I'm going to go with on my goal.
I love it. Yeah, Stephan, thinking about that, are there different triggers for you? Are there things that, you think are getting in the way? Is it, your kid saying, oh, Mom, I don't like that brown bread you're buying, or,
Yeah,
I think restaurants are huge with that. So, to think about some of those things as the triggers that may be getting in the way.
Yes, definitely yeah, my kids didn't like it. My husband didn't like wheat bread at first, but he's like, I understand what you're doing, and I just have to go with it. And it's not too bad, you know. So as long as I have the, you know, support, they understand where, you know, why sugar is so bad, and
exactly,
we can always have less of it.
Yes, no question.
That
no question.
If they understand, they can, you know, help the goal, and for all of us. I mean, it's going to be for all of us. So
yeah, and there's so many different variations as well. And I think we need to think about that as well. Is, you know, there's not just one wheat bread that's available. And I had to figure this out with my family as well. As, you know, I was getting one kind and they were like, "Ew, but I don't like the crunchy stuff on the top," you know. So again, just trying different things to figure out one that meets for everyone. And I think, you know, there's another comment here that's coming up within the chat that, you know, just trying to get children to eat healthier. You know, they've been cooped up in the house. We're right next to our cabinets and our refrigerator. This last year, it's been really difficult. And some of the strategies that I've noticed with my family, to the point that I just brought up, is trying different kinds of the same thing, you know, different kinds of bread. For my kids, I have a 5 and an 8-year-old. I have really gotten into empowering them to make it themselves and to cook it themselves. So again, whether it be helping with dinner or setting the table, doing things that they can feel helpful has really empowered them to try new things. So if they, you know, mix in some spinach, you know, into the pasta sauce, or put in some carrots into the pasta sauce, if there's ways that they can really feel empowered to help, that's been really, really beneficial for my kids. And at the same time, I think, you know, with my children, getting them to eat healthier is trying enough variety. They are going to recognize that they do like things. So, you know, I'm sure many of you have heard about that 1-bite rule. Okay, the 1-bite rule does not work in my family, because they will take a bite that is not even a bite, where there is no way they are going to taste what it is that they just did. So again, it's a 3-bite rule in my house, where it may not be 3 bites in the same dinner, but it's going to be 3 bites over the course of however often, you know, I make this said meal or this whatever. Because a lot of the time, once they have that first bite, they're going to recognize, oh, this really isn't that bad. I don't like the fact that this pasta has pasta sauce has carrots in it, but I actually can't taste it. And so again, they start to recognize that. So continuing to make those hard decisions, to incorporate, you know, the healthy nutritions into your children's world, they're going to recognize that it's not all torture, and you're not just there to be the bad guy, but also empowering them to choose it for themselves and for them to try it themselves is fantastic. So if anyone has other tricks, you know, from getting your kids to eat healthier, is great, because your kids are going to get hungry. So sooner or later, they're gonna eat something. So if you have the healthy stuff there, they likely are going to eventually start to venture in that. And it gets easier as they get older too, as well. I know we get frustrated when they're little. So other suggestions, anyone else want to pipe in and share anything with us?
You know, this is Adrian. I really like the idea of the replacement. And I grew up with this, you know, listening to people talk about meditation and less sugar. Next, y'all are going to be telling me that war is a bad idea. I didn't realize I was working with a bunch of hippies, which is great. My mother grew up substituting sugar in her spaghetti sauce with carrots. Yeah. And it was a way to add the balance of flavor, and also get a whole bunch of nutrients from a root vegetable. Yeah. So she was along with the fiber as well. So, like the source of the sugar is critical in my opinion. Getting it from a healthier source than something that's more refined. So, finding ways to replace stuff in a normal recipe that still gives you the flavor that you're looking for, but with some additional benefits. And we know that fiber, when eaten with sugar, helps regulate that glycemic response. So yeah, this is really good stuff. And I struggle with my daily meditation as well, and it makes a massive difference.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And even if I sit down and try to do it, I realize that I am thinking about 15 different things and I am not at all focusing on my breathing or meditation. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a practice for sure.
Well, yeah, that's like I've learned from the people around me that that's part of the deal.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
being
really
okay
matter
with
what my
that.
mind is thinking about. The fact that I sat down is what's important, and just to
Exactly.
find some consistency in it. Anyway, this is great. This is great
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you so much. Yeah, so to his point as well, there's a lot of baking substitutes as well, because I often think about if you're going to remove things from your children's world, remove all the sugar or candy or sweets or processed foods, they're going to want it even more. So they're going to go over to their friend's house or over to grandma and grandpa's house, and they're going to go for it, and they're going to go for it big time. So again, still allowing them to have some of those things, baking with applesauce, trying the different sugar substitutes, as were mentioned. There's so many different ways that we can allow those tastes and allow those, guilty pleasures, if you will, by not going full bore to remove it. So you are feeling depleted, if you will. So thank you so much for that. So if there are other comments, feel free to pipe in or use the chat function, but I do want to inform you of another opportunity that we are running here at WesTech, starting here in a couple weeks, because I know many of you have that competitive nature and many of you enjoy our competition. So we're actually going to run a longer competition. It's really going to be more of a challenge to yourself, where you can use other people to help you with this. So what this challenge is it is, first of all, a great, easy way to accumulate tons of your health promotion points for this quarter. So what it is called, it's called the top of the hour walkabout. And as many of you know, a walkabout is typically a very casual walk, anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes, and it doesn't necessarily have a destination. So what this challenge is, the number one priority is allowing yourself to take breaks, giving yourself permission to do this, to take breaks from the daily grind, from your desk, from your workspace, and get some extra steps. Like I said, I'm saying 5 to 15 minutes, whether that be take a longer walk to the restroom or the break area, take a couple flights of stairs, walk around the building, the block, whatever it might be, and to grab some peers to do that. Again, allowing yourself the time away, because you will be more productive when you come back, and also allowing yourself to get some extra steps. So the great thing about this challenge is that you're going to earn 2 health promotion points per walk. So if you track over the course of the day that you took 3 walks, you're going to get 6 health promotion points for that. So anywhere between 9 and 3 is the recommended time to do this, each hour to take a walk. Okay, within your portal, you'll track the number of walks you took that day. And then twice over the course of the challenge, I will be awarding the health promotion points. So many of you are probably going to accumulate far more than 30 points this quarter because you allowed yourself to participate in this challenge. So I challenge you all to check out your email, first of all, that I did. It will be hitting your emails. It's going out at 1 o'clock. And it will have this flyer that you're seeing on the screen today with the information about the top of the hour walkabout. Also shows you how to sign up and what to track within your portal. So hopefully you will all take advantage of that challenge as well if you are interested in doing that. So I think that is all for today. I'll stay on for a little while if any of you want to have further conversation, ask any questions that you do have, or if there's anything me, myself, Tara can help you with personally, feel free to stay on and ask those and we can banter back and forth. Anyone else who wants to hop off, we will be awarding your health promotion credit for attendance today. So I really appreciate you being here and I appreciate your participation in the workshop today.
Thank you.